Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Hare Krishna, is November 30th, 2021. We're having an evening program here. And here, visiting online, there's Jim Wood and Laura and Sky Diamond and Patrick from Paradas. And they're from New Zealand. We got Atmananda. And here in person, there's Vishnu, Rohini, Nalini, yes.
In Opulence of the Absolute, I know a verse from it.
Which verse?
Oh, that's the first one.
Oh, okay. Yes. Nice. That's the first of the 3 verses. You want to recite that verse, Nalini? Number 8.
108.
Yeah, 108. It's 108. It's true.
10:8. It's before the picture. Oh no, maybe just after the picture. It's 7. Should be for this page.
Aham sarvasya prabhu I am the source of all spiritual and material goods. Everything emanates from me. The wise perfectly know disengaging my devotional service and worshiping with all my hearts.
Jai Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Wonderful. Very inspiring.
It's a very important verse. Srila Prabhupada quoted so many times.
Yeah, very key verse. It's one of the nutshell verses of Bhagavad Gita. So here, text 11 of chapter 10 is entitled Opulence of the Absolute. So we'll start with each word responsively. Tesham Eva Anukampa Artam Aham Agyanajam Tama Nashaya Yami Atma Basvasta Yana Dipena Basvata Tesham Evanu Kampartam Ahamagyanajam Tamaha Nishayam Yatma Bhavasto Gyanadipena Basvata Tesham Evanu Kampartam Ahamagyanajam Tamaha Nishayam Yatma Bhavasto Gyanadipena Basvata Tesham Evanu Kampartam Ahamagyanajam Tamaha Nishayam Yatma Bhavasto Gyanadipena Basvata. If others would like to recite the verse.
Tesham Evanu Kampartam Ahamagyanajam Tamaha Nashayam Yatma Bhavasto Gyanadipena Basvata
Tesham Evanu Kampartam
Ahamagyanajam Amaganatam tamaha.
Nashayam yatma bhavasto.
Nishayam yatma bhavasto.
Jnanadipena bhasvata.
Jnanadipena basvata. Tesham evanukampartam. Aham agyanajam tamaha. Nishayam yatma bhavasto. Jnanadipena basvata.
What verse is it? Chapter 11.
Text chapter 10, text 11. Chapter 10, text 11.
10. Okay.
Teshamevanukampartam.
Teshamevanukampartam.
Aham ajangram tamaha.
Aham agyanajam tamaha.
Nasayam mayatma bhavasto.
Nishayam yatma bhavasto.
Yanadipena bhavasta.
Jnanadipena basvata.
Tesam evanukampartham.
Teshamevanukampartam.
Aham ajanana jam tama.
Aham agyanajam tamaha.
Nasayami atma bhavasto.
Nishayam yatma bhavasto.
Janana dipena basvata.
Jnanadipena basvata. All right, we'll go to the word for word. Tesham, for them.
For them.
Eva,
Eva.
certainly.
Certainly.
Anukampa artam,
Anukampa artam.
to show special mercy.
To show special mercy.
Aham,
I.
I. Agyanajam,
Ajnanajam.
due to ignorance.
Due to ignorance.
Tama,
Tama.
darkness.
Darkness.
Nishayami,
Nashayami.
dispel.
Dispel.
Atma,
Atma.
within.
Within.
Bhavasta,
Bhavasta.
themselves.
Themselves.
Jnana,
Jnana.
of knowledge.
Of knowledge.
Vipena,
Vipena.
with the lamp.
With the lamp.
Basvata,
Vasvata.
glowing.
Glowing.
Translation. Out of compassion for them, I, dwelling in their hearts, destroy with the shining lamp of knowledge the darkness born of ignorance. This is Krishna speaking to Arjuna. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. When Lord Chaitanya was in Benares promulgating the chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, thousands of people were following him. Prakashananda, a very influential and learned scholar in Benares at that time, derided Lord Chaitanya for being a sentimentalist. Sometimes philosophers criticize the devotees because they think that most of the devotees are in the darkness of ignorance and are philosophically naive sentimentalists. Actually, that is not the fact. There are very, very learned scholars who have put forward the philosophy of devotion. But even if a devotee does not take advantage of their literatures or of his spiritual master, if he is sincere in his devotional service, he is helped by Krishna himself within his heart. So the sincere devotee engaged in Krishna consciousness cannot be without knowledge. The only qualification is that one carry out devotional service in full Krishna consciousness. The modern philosophers think that without discriminating, one cannot have pure knowledge. For them, this answer is given by the Supreme Lord. Those who are engaged in pure devotional service, even though they be without sufficient education and even without sufficient knowledge of the Vedic principles, are still helped by the Supreme God as stated in this verse. The Lord tells Arjuna that basically there is no possibility of understanding the supreme truth, the absolute truth, the supreme personality of Godhead, simply by speculating. For the supreme truth is so great that it is not possible to understand him or to achieve him simply by making a mental effort. Man can go on speculating for several millions of years, and if he is not devoted, if he is not a lover of the supreme truth, he will never understand Krishna, the supreme truth. Only by devotional service is the supreme truth Krishna pleased, and by his inconceivable energy he can reveal himself to the heart of the pure devotee. The pure devotee always has Krishna within his heart, therefore he is just like the sun that dissipates the darkness of ignorance. This is the special mercy rendered to the pure devotee by Krishna. Due to the contamination of material association, through many, many millions of births, one's heart is always covered with the dust of materialism. But when one engages in devotional service and constantly chants Hare Krishna, the dust quickly clears and one is elevated to the platform of pure knowledge. The ultimate goal of Vishnu can be attained only by this chant and by devotional service, and not by mental speculation or argument. The pure devotee does not have to worry about the necessities of life. He need not be anxious because when he removes the darkness from his heart, everything is provided automatically by the Supreme Lord, for he is pleased by the loving devotional service of the devotee. This is the essence of the Gita's teachings. By studying Bhagavad Gita, one can become a completely surrendered soul to the Supreme Lord and engage himself in pure devotional service. As the Lord takes charge, one becomes completely free from all kinds of materialistic endeavors. Om Angana Timirandasya Gnanjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayamupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Scha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitan Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitam Scha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sate Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Panchakalpatayubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyeva cha Patitanan Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Namo Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Prastaya Bhutale, Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine, Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharine, Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine. Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 10, entitled The Opulence of the Absolute, text 11. Tesham evanu kampartam ahamagyana jam tamaha nashayam yatma bhavasto gyanadipena basvata. Out of compassion for them, I, dwelling in their hearts, destroy with the shining lamp of knowledge the darkness born of ignorance. Okay, so when he's out of compassion for them. So who is the them? So in the purport, Prabhupada many times uses this word, those who are sincere to hear the Lord in the heart. So Krishna, he's following up on the previous verse, that's 10.10. And Krishna is saying, Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam pridipurvagam dadami buddhi yogam tam yenamam upayanti te. So Krishna says there, in the verse just prior to this, to those who are constantly devoted and worship me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. So we're talking about sincere. So that's the short answer to this question. How can we hear Krishna in the heart? To be sincere, that's the short answer. So like, to be sincere, that's really what I want.
Like, how did Krishna like leave this world?
How did Krishna leave this world?
Yeah.
Maybe we'll get to that. And at the present time, we're focusing on the topic, how to hear Krishna in the heart. And so we focused on sincerity. Just about a few hours ago, 4 hours ago, we were in a coach training group class. And the topic was ethics and coaching and ethics values. And so I made the point that our actual ethics, our actual values are revealed by our actions. So I say, yes, how can we hear Krishna or just be sincere? Oh, that's what I want. I want to hear Krishna. That's what I want. All right. So then we can look at like how I live my life. We can look at how we live our lives. And then that reveals how sincere we really are to hear Krishna. How sincere are we really? So, because sincerity is shown where, yes, Krishna, I really want to serve your mission. Right? As George Harrison sings, right? My sweet Lord, I really want to know you. So how much do our actions reflect that? How much do our actions reflect that? And to the extent that we're sincere, pure-hearted, childlike innocence, then, well, Krishna is, first of all, it's described in the Bhagavatam. Krishna is in the heart in a form called Paramatma or Supersoul, which can take different form for different souls. It's described in the Brahma Samhita. Here's a verse Prabhupada quotes a lot from the Brahma Samhita. Premanjana charita bhakti vilochanena shanta sadaiva hridayeshu vilokayanti yam shama sundaram achintya guna svarupam Govinda Mari Pusham Tamaham Bhajami. Now let's hear the translation of that. It's Lord Brahma saying, I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is Shamasundar, Krishna himself, possessing innumerable transcendental attributes, and whom the pure devotees see in their heart of hearts with the eyes of devotion, tinged with the salve of love. So we see Krishna, we hear Krishna in the form of Shamasundar in our heart, or there's other forms possible. To the extent that our spiritual eyes, I'm not talking about these material eyes, to the extent that our spiritual eyes are filled with the salve of devotion, tinged with the salve of love. Eyes of devotion, tinged with the salve of love. So Krishna's always speaking of, and material life means that we're basically, making, sincere effort to try to avoid hearing the message of God within. It's like how much, because I want to hear Krishna like some sort of romantic, mystical thing. But do we want to really follow what Krishna is telling us in the heart? There's a saying I heard attributed to St. Augustine. He prays to God, "Oh Lord, give me chastity, but not just yet." No, I mean, next Tuesday. I mean, next month for sure. So that's the thing. So how much are we ready to whatever instruction comes, even it's like, well, this isn't the script of my life, but how much are we ready to surrender? How much are we ready to give ourselves to the guidance of super soul within the heart? And says, well, as long as the super soul kind of like confirms with my agenda for today, then sure. So saying like, not that sincere. That's the consciousness. That's the mentality required. That's the mentality required. Yeah. And so how sincere are we internally, and how to what extent? To what extent is our life revealing, yeah, I really want to know you. I want to serve you. Like we serve Krishna by serving the mission and movement of his pure devotee, Srila Prabhupada, like that. And then the more we do that, the more we do that with our habits, our thoughts, our body, the more we do that, the more we put Krishna and Krishna's mission in the center of our relationships, then the more we are preparing our heart to be receptive to that message, to be receptive to the message coming from Paramatma or Super Soul. Krishna says in the 15th chapter, Sarvasya chaham ridi sanivisto matasmitir gyanamapoanam cha dedeshcha sarvera hame vededu vedantikud vedavid evacham. Krishna says, I am situated in everyone's heart as Paramatma, as Super Soul. And from me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. I am the goal of the Vedas. I'm the source of the Vedas. So if we want to not hear Krishna in the heart, it's like, you might say Krishna in the heart, there's another verse. He's, let's say, two major functions. The facilitator and the permitter. Yes, he's facilitating our desires while simultaneously giving us the wisest advice, the wisest guidance, never with force. So if we want to, well, I want to forget that I'm spirit soul. I want to live like I'm this like lump of matter. I want to forget I'm spirit soul. I want to be an illusion that I'm this David Wolf character, 60 years old from Philadelphia. So then Krishna says, okay, I'll give you forgetfulness if that's what you want. Now, when we act foolishly, perpetuating the illusion of material life, then it does pain Krishna in the heart. There's a verse in the 17th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, and Krishna says that when we act like in lower modes, foolishly alienating ourselves from ourself, acting like envious of our own self, Krishna says that the super soul is pained. The super soul is pained because Krishna is the super soul in our heart, wants our happiness and bliss like trillions of times more than we do. At the same time, no force. No force. So upadrashtanumantacha bharta bhakta maheshra paramatmeti chapyuto desmin purusha para. He says, I'm in the heart as the overseer and the supreme facilitator. And we got material desires. Krishna will give us forgetfulness of our spiritual nature and facilitate our material desires with the material energy. Because super soul, that's God in the heart, is the source. Just like Nalini just quoted, Ham Sarvasya Prabhavo Matasarvam Pravartate Timat Vapajanti Mam Buddha Bhava Samavita, the source of all spiritual and material energies. So super soul is ready to facilitate our desires with spiritual energy or material energy. They're all under his control. They're all under his control. And to the extent that we realize that, then naturally we serve him with devotion. Yes, and so Krishna speaks the whole Bhagavad Gita. And he says towards the end of the 18th chapter, which is the final chapter, Machita sarva durvet durgani mat prasada tarishyasi atachetva mahankaram vinankshyasi nashosyasi vinankshyasi. He says, he's talking about voices within. So it's like, oh yes, the voice within. So most of those voices within, for me anyway, they are not the super soul. So spiritual life is about making distinctions, learning to distinguish between, that's my nonsense, rascal, materialistic mind. That's my greedy, false ego. Okay, And so Krishna said, yeah, listen to ahankara, the voice of the false self, and we'll just get lost and lost more and more in the ocean of material existence. And Krishna says, but listen to super soul within, learn the art of that. And then we easily cross over the ocean of material existence. And then Krishna goes a few verses later. Vimrishyetana sheshena yate chasita taku. So he says to Arjuna, okay, I've spoken this whole Bhagavad Gita. If you want, I'll speak it again. Krishna's patient. He goes, now Arjuna, he said, consider carefully what I have said. Consider carefully what I have said. And consider it. And then do as you wish to do. So no force. So we get to choose forgetfulness of our nature, spiritual nature. We get to turn our back to Krishna and disregard the wise guidance. Or we get to choose listening, so pure heart, and to clear all the static, to hear the super soul within, which means I'm sincere. I'm ready to surrender to that guidance. So Krishna, love, if there's force, there's no love. So Krishna's not forcing Arjuna, he's not forcing us. He's not apathetic. He's not saying to Arjuna, he's not saying, I don't care what you do. And he's saying, do what you want to do. And Krishna is lovingly wanting Arjuna to choose wisely for his highest good. Right? So that's real freedom, means the freedom to commit to our highest good. Right? Like, so much of what goes on in the name of freedom in today's world is actually slavery to the senses, slavery to the eyes, slavery to the ears, slavery to the need to look good, whatever. So real freedom means like, okay, I see this path of spiritual, this path of Krishna consciousness and the different regulations. That's actually my highest long-term enduring good. Am I free to commit to that, or am I too scared what people will think? Yeah. Am I free to commit to that, or am I too much a slave of my tongue, my belly, my genitals, my need for approval, my need to be needed? Real freedom. That's what we're talking about here. So, so to the extent, in the 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, there's a great king sage named Lord Rishabhadev, 5th canto, wonderful. He also had his wild and crazy period. That was transcendental too. So at one point, before he becomes Avaduta, he instructs his 100 sons headed by Bara. And he says many things. One thing he says is, Mayam deho deham bhajam niloke kastam kaman narhati vid bhujam ye tapu divyam puchoke nasatvam shudyadhyasmam brahma sokyam tvanantam. He says, look, in the human form of life, don't settle for the quality of enjoyment that's available to the he uses the word vid bhujam, to the stool eaters, to the pigs and the dogs. He says, yeah, don't settle for that. They don't have the capacity to know anything better. But in human life, let's not be dvipashupada, two-legged animals. Human life is meant for that fulfillment, for that fulfillment, that happiness that will never be destroyed by time. And how do we attain that? Tapu divyam, puchokehina sattvam, by voluntarily giving ourselves to divine austerity. Now, an important point here is everyone is doing austerity. So I don't want to be austere. It's like, well, you don't have a choice. I don't want to be austere. Get up early in the morning, chant Krishna. I'm going to go to this job I hate and drive 2 hours, and then everyone's austere. You want a college degree, you're gonna give up immediate enjoyment, right? To study those books. You want your business to be really successful, you're gonna work those 18-hour days sometimes. So to achieve anything, to achieve, satisfaction in relationship, means like we do compromise, we listen carefully, like that. So to achieve anything means austerity. So our choice is how to direct our austerity. And the recommendation of Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, direct our austerity to that fulfillment. That's not just some business that will ultimately be destroyed next year in 100 years, or to get the body fit, or like that. But yeah, do austerity for that bliss that will never be destroyed by anything, by any pandemic, any economic downturn, any insult. And we all have experience, right? In the beginning here, Laura, hearing Krishna, we could probably, even if we do some, basic austerity, maybe getting up earlier, controlling our eating a little more than we usually do, then we feel clean. We can hear that highest guidance within. We can hear that highest guidance within. And so what we get from Srila Prabhupada is a whole system, to whatever extent we want to follow it, without force, voluntarily, with enthusiasm. That it's just like here, there are many things we could be doing on a Tuesday night. Well, okay, yeah, let's listen to Bhagavad Gita, and then increasingly, then we're hearing Krishna in the heart. Increasingly, we're developing a sincerity, a purity of desire to hear Krishna within the heart. All right, so I'll read this text again. Tesham evanu kampartam aham ganajam tamahan ashem yatma bhavasto ganati pena basvata. Out of compassion for them, I, dwelling in their hearts, destroy with the shining lamp of knowledge the darkness born of ignorance. Hare Krishna, thanks for your presence and attention. Thank you, and thanks for the suggestion for this theme, Laura. And I welcome any questions or comments at this time. Nalini.
So how did Krishna leave this world again?
Well, you said again. So what's your understanding? Sounds like you've heard something about that before. So what's your understanding? Okay. So in one sense, the theme of this discussion is Krishna not only didn't leave this world, he didn't leave your heart.
Yeah, how someone's thinking, like someone that's not.
Yeah. So Prabhupada often makes the point. We'll be talking to people, it's like there'll be a concept like, oh, well, Arjuna had Krishna right on the chariot, easy to listen to Krishna then. And Prabhupada could often be very powerful. Say, Arjuna had no advantage over you. Arjuna had no advantage over you. That Krishna is fully present with you to the extent that we're sincere, to the extent that we want Krishna's presence. And then that experiencing, realizing Krishna's presence, well, that comes from sincerity to serve him. Tesham satati yuktanam bhajatam pridipurvakam tadami buddhi yogam tam yena maham upayanti te. Right. So that's the thing, like Krishna has not left this world. There's a very wonderful verse by Madhavendra Puri. I have it on my list to learn the Sanskrit on our Madhavendra Puri chapter. A few years ago, we focused on it. But he goes like, yeah, like this group might criticize me. This group might call me a fool. This group might call me this and that. Yeah, but okay, whatever. But but I'm just meditating. I'm just meditating on Nanda Maharaj, in whose courtyard the Supreme Personality of Godhead is crawling like a little child. And you may say this, you may say that. All I know is you will not be successful to remove Krishna from the core of my heart. So our focus is not Krishna left. Our focus is Krishna's presence. Our focus is Krishna's presence.
But, like, did you like get shot by an arrow or something?
I've heard that. Yeah. Yeah, I heard that his disappearance pastime is related to there's different stories about Krishna's disappearance pastime, which isn't shouldn't be strange, because Krishna appears once in a day of Brahma. So Krishna's appeared trillions and trillions of times. So he can have different disappearances, but he got shot in the foot by a hunter. That's there in the heel. Yeah. Yeah. So you have heard that. Janma karma chame divyam evam yoveti tatvadeham punarjanma neti mameti surdam. Who wants to say the meaning of that verse? Prabhupada quotes it so much. It's like one of the most quoted verses. Janma karma chame. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. So whether we're talking about disappearance, however Krishna chose to disappear, or his appearance, or his activities, they're all transcendental. So it's not like an ordinary material death or material birth. So it's all very transcendental and glorious. So we hear about any pastimes of Krishna's pastimes, including his appearance, his disappearance, purifies our heart, and then we hear God in the heart more and more. The more we hear his name, chant his name, hear his pastimes, any pastimes, including disappearance, and that's how we hear God in the heart. That's how we hear Krishna in the heart. Hearing about, well, the recommendation, you could like Nama Rupa Lila Guna. The recommendation, again, we can just observe ourselves in a picture of Krishna, Radha Krishna. That's purifying through the eyes. We can read about Krishna, Arjuna, Krishna, and the gopis, purifying. But it's generally recommended, focus on the name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. Nam means name, just like the English word name comes from the Sanskrit nam. Nama. Focus on the name, and then gradually our heart becomes more and more purified, and then Krishna's form, the transcendental nature of his form is revealed to us, transcendental nature of all his activities, including appearance and disappearance, and the transcendental nature of his qualities are all revealed in the heart. And kind of like the doorway is the name. Hare Krishna. Anyone online have any comments or questions? Online, we have Sky Diamond, Jim Wood, Laura Schwartz, Atmananda. There was Parampara, but he's here now. It's magic.
Someone writes his name?
Yeah, someone. I'm not, yeah, Atmananda.
Yes, when you were reading the verse, I'm getting echo. Are you?
How I think now it should be better.
Is that better now? Yeah. Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. As you were reading the verse in the purport, and as you were developing, a couple of things struck me. One was that this verse, amongst so many others, makes it clear the distinction between the impersonal philosophy and the personal philosophy.
Yeah.
Krishna, he's a person, and he's responding to each. He says, as you describe them, those who are sincere anyway. He's responding to every single one, even those who are not sincere, or who are sincere for material life. He's fulfilling their desires as well. But every single being, Krishna is there in the heart. Now that maybe the insects and the trees and the whatever can't respond, but that's the special nature of the human life, that we can appreciate and learn to hear that, as you're asking, Laura. So that was one thing. And then, well, that's very encouraging for me, because Krishna is paying attention to me, to everyone else, but me personally, completely. And he's able to fulfill the response. And it's also a little daunting, because he's watching and waiting to see how I'm going to fulfill my stated commitments or sincerity in my life. And so that's also a little daunting, because he's not foolish, and he's not just going to give in because I say, as you were indicating, because I say I'm sincere and this and that, and I want to do this and that and the other. But Krishna's waiting. All right, let's see. So there's two kinds of impetuses there for me.
Thank you, Abhinanda. Thanks.
Big brother is watching you.
Yeah.
Sorry? What was that, Molly?
He said, "Big Brother is watching you." She gives it.
Big brother is.
She gave a Orwellian metaphor. So it's very true, and that can be. Look, really think about it. Like, Krishna is super soul in my heart, is witnessing everything. Oh my God! Like, everything I said, everything I think. Oh my God! It's really embarrassing. But that's true. So, big brother, but this is truly a kind big brother. So Krishna says, "Oktram yakadapasam sarvalokameshram suridam sarvabhutanam gatramam shanti vichati." So we have our truly best friend, greatest well-wisher in our heart. So it's big brother, but not in the Orwellian sense. And so thanks for those points, Abhinanda, because that's it. It's this verse. So personal, so loving, personal. I mean, so it's just like, okay, if we think of all that we're thinking and all that we've done, not just in this lifetime, but previous lifetimes, like that. Okay, what kind of friend is that like stays with us? Right. And of course, in the human form, we get to be lower than the hugs and dogs. Okay, but we can be higher too by performing devotion. So by performing devotional service, then we hear Krishna Nam, and we just remove the stud. But so Krishna is the best friend, so personal, and he's eager to destroy with the shining lamp of knowledge the darkness born of ignorance. So this is personalism, right? Krishna expands in the personal expansion into the heart of all living entities. Ishvara Sarvabhutam, Videsha Arjuna Tishtati, heart of all living entities. Brahmayan Sarvabhutam, Yanchudani Maya, who are stuck on the machine. So he's in the heart of the spirit soul in the body of a worm or an amoeba or a tree or me, like that. So this is personal, right? And so we're not going to hear, if our goal is like to become God, right? Then kind of like, it's not very sweet. It's not very sweet. So the devotional soul is just like, no, I want to realize myself. I want to be the servant of Krishna. Then we purify our heart naturally, and we're hearing super soul within.
Another aspect to the super soul, I was just reading today Lord Kapila's teaching, is the ability to see the super soul in everybody's art.
Yeah.
And to cultivate that, the super soul is, and by cultivating that, we see everybody's as a temple of the super soul. That includes animals, that includes the insects, that includes the blade of grass, that includes the trees, and of course include all living entities and all human beings. and by cultivating that vision of the super soul accompanying all living entities. So there is two forms of Krishna. One form is part and parcel,
Yeah.
is part and parcel, and then is partial, like expansion,
Yes.
localized expansion. And by Lord Kapila said, like to cultivate that will lead the devotee to have respect for everyone, to not have dissolution.
Thanks for that, Melanie. Yeah, because we want to respect everyone. Only then this really gets into the why, right? Like, wow, now the temple. That's why, like, with such realization, we're not going to just like, let's step on the ant or something. Right? This is temple of God, right? That temple of super soul. The pastime is described towards the end of the Majjhila Chaitanya Charitamrita. Megari the hunter, right? He got his so-called happiness by torturing animals and like that. Then after he was transformed by the association of Narada Muni, then he didn't even want to step on an egg. He didn't step on it. So
He had a vision.
he had a vision. Yeah.
Vision is Krishna's. Yeah, it's a container for Krishna's too, like Krishna's part and parcel, Krishna's super soul.
Thanks for that. Hare Krishna.
Sometimes we have maybe the tendency is to focus on myself.
Yes.
Like, oh, the super soul in my heart, and I'm listening to the super soul, and I want to listen to the super soul. And it seems that to cultivate the vision that super soul is in other people's heart, is probably it probably will lead to naturally hear super soul more and to focus on my own.
It's like it gets to the essence of empathy. It's the essence of empathy. Yeah. Saturday mornings, class and discussion, we focus there. Seeing Krishna everywhere in the heart of all of it, within the heart of every atom. It's the essence of environmentalism and ecology. Really realizing Krishna even in every atom. So it doesn't mean like being fearful to do an offense, but it means like, being respectful and how can I relate to this person, this ant, this human, this rock, in a way that's pleasing to the super soul in the heart and that's not causing pain. Thanks for that. Krishna.
How does this relate to tolerance? Should we be tolerant of our own sincerity?
Tolerant of like our sincerity or relative lack of it? Okay, thanks for your question. Well, okay, so this gets into spiritual psychology, including our relationship with our own self and mind. So there's certainly, okay, I mean, the general guidance is to be rigorous with ourselves, strict with ourselves, and very liberal and tolerant with others. Like, right, just to have very generous interpretations of their consciousness, even if someone acts and so that would maybe appear an insult, but understand, yeah, they're going through so much pain. Who am I to say what's going on, and to be very strict with ourselves. But strict that doesn't mean to like try to beat ourselves with shame and guilt. So, I would say tolerant with ourselves and our, limitations and lack of sincerity relatively. Tolerant as a platform, as a foundation for increasing my enthusiasm. Let me serve with more sincerity today than yesterday. Yeah. So tolerant, but also gentle and loving. We're also parts and parcels of Krishna. So not to be like mean or harsh with ourselves. So yeah, tolerant, patient, utsaha nishchaya dharya, patient, tolerant, accepting, but not tolerant in a way where I'm excusing my complacency. Okay, whatever, I'm humble, I'm meeting myself where I'm at. Okay, so now I'll just watch TV all day or something. But yeah, tolerant, accepting as a platform to move myself, to gently move myself to deeper enthusiasm, to live purely, to serve Krishna. Mom,
I want to talk about the connection between tolerance and truthfulness. Like as we were speaking, I was thinking about that. With, you know, like in Vatan, Swakata, Punya, Shavan, Kirtana, Navajani, Vidumati, Sutatan, like the Lord cleans our heart from material desire. And he said, for the truthful devotee.
for the truthful devotee, yeah.
So like truthful devotee, like Krishna is going to clean our heart. It doesn't say sincere devotee.
It's truthful.
It's
Yeah.
a truthful.
Yeah.
And so there is a connection between truthfulness and tolerance.
Yeah.
Like, it seems by truthfulness, tolerance come automatically.
Mm.
Like truthfulness about like seeing my material desire, seeing my lack of sincerity, seeing my envy of other living entities, seeing, you know, like by truthfulness, then it seems that then tolerance comes and connection is allowed also.
That's right. That's right, Mom. Yeah. Hearing you speak, I'm thinking of the, you know, a well-known tolerance verse in Bhagavad Gita, the Matras Varshas Dukhanteya Shitoshna Sukadukada Agamapaino Nijas Tams to Tikshas Bharata. Krishna says the appearance of happiness and distress and the disappearance of in due course are like the appearance and disappearance of winter and summer seasons. When we should tolerate them without being disturbed. So just like what's happening in my mind, maybe it's sometimes source of happiness, maybe sometimes source of distress. So what's happening, how others are treating me, or how the health situation, so many, you know, causes of disturbance. So Krishna is encouraged, be tolerant, not as an excuse for complacency, but be tolerant. Young Hinavyatyantate, Pusham Pusharshapa, Samaduka Sugambir, so by Kalpate. One who's tolerant, we're tolerant so we're not distracted. Happiness, distress. I want more of this, less of that. Tolerate whatever's going on, our level of sincerity, so that we continue with steadiness. And then Krishna says that steadiness, while tolerating everything, including our own mind, that's a state of liberation. Yeah. Rohini.
What I'm thinking about hearing from you, Mother Malini, what you shared is that, you know, if I'm truthful about with myself about who I am, and like as a spirit soul in this human body, in this human experience, then when I get to the real truth of that, then I can see that we're all like in this together, and so I can deepen my level of tolerance, like my level of because it's like, yeah, that's in me too. Like that's all of this, all of that I experience is a part of me because of my humanness here, and so like, yeah, that's how I know. But I think that it also like it's coming up to is like a level of just tolerance, acceptance. I don't know if they are, if they're similar, but like it seems like it seems that way to me. Like there's a level of like just like accept you for who you accept that about you, because that's and it's maybe, and there's maybe it's tolerance in a way, just acceptance of what
Very, very related qualities. They're not synonymous. I appreciate this connection, tolerance, acceptance, truthfulness. Yeah. Faithfulness means that we're not resisting reality. Yeah. Peace, peace.
I was hearing a little bit from mine. And you referenced the PPTC class earlier today.
Yeah.
So ethics, you see our real ethics in our action, relating that to sincerity. We can measure our sincerity by our actions.
Yeah.
So it seems conversely, we can show our sincerity by our actions. And so it's kind of a way to, yeah, it seems it's also, I think I was telling Lily last night that Lily had something come up last night, and then he's also been chanting. He's been chanting japa. Sometimes he wakes up and chants a round of japa before we do. So I was, and so as he's had this experience, so it seems like Krishna gives, according to our sincerity, then he may give a challenge or give some realization or give some something that may be scary or frightening to kind of, because we're showing that we're sincere, then he may give something to challenge us or to push us further. That's what I was sharing. Remember I was saying that? So I wondered about that, like that relationship with sincerity, and then that relates to what the other part you were saying, like, well, I say I'm sincere, but then like sincere to hear and then sincere to follow, those are maybe two different things. Like, oh yeah, I'm sincere, I want to hear, but am I sincere that I want to follow? And then, so that seems, because I'm wondering, there's like, because why am I not more sincere? Why am I not more sincere? Why am I not showing more sincerity in my actions? Why am I not sincere to follow, instructions like that? And so perhaps there's fear about what will happen if I'm more sincere. Then what will I be given? What will be laid out before me? What's the next step? What's the that's scary, So that's what I'm thinking about.
Our trust or faith is limited.
Yeah.
Trust me, is that okay? We just surrender fully to Krishna's plan. And maybe we're all doing that more than we were a year or a few ago, or a decade a few ago. But at some level, like, well, I'm not trusting if I fully surrender to Krishna's plan, whatever that is, that will really be my best interest. I mean, intellectually, so like that.
So I was concerned. I was like, well, no. Because I was like, oh, I hope Nalini doesn't get discouraged from chanting. Like, oh, if I'm chanting, then Krishna's going to give me these challenging things. And I can see that myself. Oh, yeah, if I'm more sincere, then I may. So how to like keep the encouragement, keep the. So that's what I'm wondering. And then, again, I think it relates to what you're saying also, that if I'm sincere to follow, if it lines up with what my
script is,
my script or my ego, and another part I was considering is you're listening to Krishna, so sincerity to hear Krishna in the heart, and it seems that even more so for me, I can imagine sincerity to follow, because there's maybe in our heart of hearts, we kind of know I know what I need to do. I know what Krishna wants me to do. And then if I'm not sure, then there's Prabhupada, who's the external manifestation of God in the heart, in his books. He's giving very clear instructions. So maybe there's like some pretending not to know, like, what do I know? What is God? What's God in the heart saying? But I understand there's that distinction of like inner guidance and distinguishing which voice is which, and so that's not to downgrade that, but also just to like, well, this sincerity to follow showing sincerity can follow. That seems to be a bigger hurdle, at least for me, I could say.
That's to the core.
Right.
Thanks for your several points there. Yeah, and so with God in the heart, this Hari Guru Vaishnava Bhagavad Gita. There's like 4 checks, and the check that we're least connected with in conditioned life is the super soul in the heart. I would then so the spiritual master, the pure devotee, Prabhupada. I'm being personal with Prabhupada because I heard there's a pure devotee here. So Prabhupada's every vibration, every action, every guidance is completely identical with the guidance from Super Soul in the heart. So Chaitya Guru is a name for Super Soul in the heart, Chaitya Guru. And then Prabhupada is the external representation. So hearing from Prabhupada, it's the same as hearing from Super Soul in the heart. So that's such a key point. And it's like, yeah, the higher guidance within. So this is the higher guidance, right? The Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada's books, Bhagavad Gita. This is the super soul in the heart. It's non-different. Of course, then the more we hear Bhagavad Gita, hear about Krishna pastimes, follow Prabhupada's guidance, chant Hare Krishna, then the more we are hearing it's a super soul in the heart. Yeah, that the previous verse, Tesham Satat Yutana, Bhajatam Pradipurvam, Dadani Buddhi Yogudo, Yenamam Pyantati. Krishna talking about intelligence, buddhi, and sincerity. And of the two, sincerity is more core. So like that. Because he said, if you're sincere, I'll give you the intelligence, how to progress towards hearing God in the heart. So it's like that's, and we're not, Krishna's not going to force us to be sincere. So that's like our opportunity or our job.
Wow, I'm so moved by what you just shared. It just really brings my understanding of these books to a whole thing. I just feel like I understand that, wow, these are living, these are living things. And I mean, I've had that experience where I've been thinking about something, or something's been in my heart, or I've experienced something, and then I open up the page and then there it is right there. And so like I've had that experience, but wow, just having a realization about it, a deeper realization about it. It's really amazing. Amazing.
Good to hear that. I'm very moved to hear that. Yeah, Prabhupada would rise at 1 a.m. to give us these books. Because like this is God in the heart. This is Krishna in the heart talking to us through Prabhupada's books. And so you just had some epiphany, impactful realization. Yeah. So and for me, it's a key part of the sadhana. Spend time with Prabhupada's books. Spend time with Prabhupada's books, and and it does, of course, sharpen my philosophical intelligence, and I learn more every time. Primarily, though, I'm associating with Prabhupada. It's that transformational association, whatever the content is. Because this is fully alive. I like how you said that, fully alive.
Just thinking, no one would get up at 1 a.m. to translate a book unless it was coming from God in the heart.
Yeah.
Wow. So no one would be doing books, writing books 1, 2, 3 in the morning.
Prabhupada would sometimes say, someone says, "Oh, Prabhupada, when I read your books," and Prabhupada interrupted. These are, he said, I did not write these books. Krishna did. Krishna did. Krishna is dictating through Prabhupada. This is Krishna directly speaking.
Imagine Prabhupada speaking in a dictaphone.
Yeah.
And then like there's the devotees that are actually transcribing it. So like, imagine that going up the chain, like Krishna's speaking and Prabhupada's like the dictaphone, like Prabhupada's, just receiving from Krishna.
Yesterday we had the introduction. Well, we started a book club.
Yeah.
Bhagavad Gita book club, and there was like 17 of us.
Wow.
And one point we made is that this is not a book.
Yeah.
This is not a book. This is a seminar.
Yeah, the transformational
It's
seminar.
a transformational seminar.
Yeah.
All Prabhupada's books, and the more I
Yeah.
read Prabhupada's books, the more it's a transformational seminar, a transformational association. It's there to open our eyes to its dash of knowledge and to get us out of the box, to get us really uncomfortable so many times.
Yeah.
And it's nothing to do with the book. It's really, it's like a misnomer, just
Yeah.
because it's paper with ink.
Yeah.
So we are used to say book, but it's really not the book.
But if we're saying book in an ordinary sense, this isn't it.
Yeah.
This is revealed eternal transformational knowledge.
Mhm.
And knowledge in the sense of like real transformational wisdom. And it's eternal, and yeah, so it's appearing in this form through Srila Prabhupada.
Mhm.
It's not an ordinary book.
Mhm.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Laura,
She just was.
oh, she's just waving. Okay, okay,
Nice to see you all.
Yeah.
And Scott, is it Scott?
yeah, yeah.
Hey, Scott. Hare Krishna. Jim.
Jim Wood.
Jim.
Ananda.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you all for your association. Bhagavad Gita ki
Jai.
Jai.
Bhagavad Gita.
Jai.
Hare Krishna.
Jai. Hare Krishna.